Today, we look at a transformation inside an industry that is not often associated with climate action. Advertising. The visuals on screen. The digital ads you scroll past every day. The commercials broadcast across Japan. All of these activities produce greenhouse gas emissions. And now, the advertising sector is being asked to demonstrate the environmental impact of its operations. Welcome to ESG Japan Daily, a hidden source of emissions. Most people know that power plants and heavy factories emit carbon dioxide. Very few people realize that advertising also produces a significant environmental footprint. Think of a single television commercial. The actors and crew need to travel. The lighting requires electricity. Sets are built and later thrown away. Data servers store the video files and streaming platforms deliver them across millions of screens. It is reported that one commercial broadcast can produce emissions similar to 8 round-trip flights between the United Kingdom and the United States. These emissions are often invisible to the public. This is increasingly being measured. Why this matters for Japan? The world has already warmed by about 1.5 degrees compared with pre-industrial levels. This is not a projection. It is a measured increase prompting companies to adapt. For advertisers and media companies in Japan, most emissions belong to Scope 3. These are indirect emissions that come from suppliers and partners. When companies do not address these emissions, two major risks can arise. Management risk because investors hesitate to support high-carbon businesses. Brand risk because customers reject companies that do not take climate responsibility seriously. The message is clear. Sustainability is no longer a secondary consideration. It is an operational priority. Japan's response Dentsu and the new green standard. Japanese advertising giants are now taking steps. Dentsu Group has launched a new initiative known as the Decarbonization Initiative for Marketing. The goal is simple. Make the entire supply chain visible and reduce emissions at every stage. Dentsu is collaborating with AdGreen in the United Kingdom. AdGreen is a specialist organization that helps advertising producers measure and reduce emissions. Together, they are developing a Japanese version of a measurement tool that aligns with Europe and the United States. This is important because it sets a framework for future industry operations. The Green CMA New Way to Produce Commercials. A recent project between TBS Television, Boost, and Dentsu introduced a new concept called the Green Commercial. It uses metaverse production techniques to cut emissions. Instead of flying entire teams overseas, creators build digital sets inside a computer. Live-action scenes can be shot inside a studio with virtual backgrounds. This reduces travel, reduces waste, and significantly lowers Scope 3 emissions. This approach addresses both environmental impact and production methods, digital advertising and real-time carbon offsetting. The push for decarbonization is not limited to television. Digital advertising also consumes large amounts of energy servers, clouds, user devices, video autoplay. All of these activities consume electricity every time an ad loads. ADK Marketing Solutions has created a service called ADK Carbon Offset Advertising. Using technology from OpenX, the system measures carbon emissions in real time during ad delivery. The company then purchases carbon credits to offset what has been emitted. It also analyzes campaign data so that future ad delivery can become more efficient and less energy intensive. In other words, advertising that is efficient and considers environmental factors. A new way to judge creativity. The advertising industry is well known for its creative power. Traditionally, creativity is measured by news value, emotional impact, and audience attention. Now a new requirement has entered the evaluation system: environmental impact. At the Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity in 2023, participants were required to submit carbon emission data. This signals a global shift. Creativity is no longer separate from sustainability. The two are now connected. Every decision in advertising now carries a climate implication: shooting methods, production choices, travel schedules, energy use in data centers, even audience reach. For brands, this becomes a new competitive advantage: low-carbon creativity. Why viewers should care. Advertising shapes culture. It tells stories. It influences behavior. Now the industry faces a new responsibility. Communicate climate action, but also reduce its own footprint. For viewers, this is an opportunity to understand how climate action is moving into additional sectors. For students and professionals, this is a preview of how future careers will require climate knowledge. And for investors, this is a signal that Japan is building the next wave of low-carbon innovation. Thank you for watching ESG Japan Daily. If you enjoyed this analysis, remember to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next episode.